Okay, we've got a bucket here that's been done by an auto body shop, and as often as is the case with auto body shops, it's not done right. For one thing, it's painted instead of gel coated, and that's a problem. You can see that shiny paint on there. We'll explain how we know that and what problem that is here. What we do to test that and prove that, and you can test this on a piece of brand new equipment that you know is gel coated, is we're going to wipe it with acetone here. It will melt, which means it's not gel coat. Gel coat won't melt with acetone. It's very durable to just about every chemical known. Car paint we can take apart with this, and this had a sticky surface on it to begin with. It's all sticky, gooey surface, so we have to rub this whole thing down with acetone anyway. So a couple quick points here. One, the gel coat is used because it'll pass dielectric testing. We know that about gel coat. That's why the manufacturers use it, and that's why they say it should be used on this type of equipment, aerial equipment, when it's being repaired and resealed. And we also wouldn't want any seal on there that's supposed to help provide safety for electric conductivity purposes that is susceptible to any kind of chemicals that are going to be commonly around. Paints that will dissolve with acetone can also possibly dissolve with other industrial chemicals that might be in the area, including hydraulic fluids, fuels, fumes, and so forth. So there's two strikes against paint right there. We don't know if it's electrically safe, and it won't hold up to a whole lot of chemicals. And to make sure we're demonstrating that clearly and honestly here, I've got a relatively clean hand, and Al's wiping that with acetone, and you can see the stuff just comes off. It's got a sticky, gooey surface on it. We have to remove all of the paint and all of the primer that's on this. Those are both automotive paint and primer underneath this. We'll see in a little bit. We don't know if either one of those is going to be safe for electrical use, so they all have to come off for that reason. Secondly, you couldn't shoot gel coat over these because this stuff will just bubble up. It'll react to the gel coat. Can't do it. So every square millimeter of this stuff has to be removed from the inside and out, and that takes a 3-step process. Number one, we have to wash it down with the acetone before sanding it, so it remove the sticky, gummy, gooey surface that will just gum up sandpaper, and then we have to sand it off the paint and primer with a very, very coarse, heavy sandpaper, and then we have to come back to remove the scratches from that coarse sandpaper with the medium sandpaper. It's about a day and a half of work on the average on a bucket to get it to normal, just so we can fix it. Okay, this shows the bottom of this bucket, and you can see here a couple things. A, it's very susceptible to abrasion. This paint is. It's very soft, unlike gel coat. Gel coat isn't kryptonite, but it holds up a lot better than this, just from having been moved around the shop for a little bit for a very short period of time after the last time it was redone. It's all scratched off and scraped up, and it's also exposing that primer we're telling you about. There's a primer there that shouldn't be on there, that gray primer. So this is the beginning of the sanding process here, coming in with a very heavy coarse grit sandpaper, 40 grit, and you can see how much effort it takes to remove all of this car paint and car primer that has to come off of here. Again, because we don't know if it's electrically safe, and secondly, there's no way to shoot gel coat over it. It'll just bubble up and nothing will stick. So removing all of this between the washing and the 2-step sanding process takes about a day to a day and a half, typically, on a small bucket even. He's pointing out a lot of body filler in there, in that scene there as well. It's an awful lot of body filler. Let's show you what that's talking about here. And now on the subject of auto body filler, you can use filler for cosmetic effect to fill in little pinholes and scratches on these buckets. That's fine in the gel coat, but here it's been used excessively to fill in gouges and possibly even cracks and so forth. These corners on the lips are the critical structural part of these buckets, or one of the most critical points. We're concerned that he's used a lot a filler here essentially to try to create repairs, and filler isn't a repair substance. Again, an auto body guy, for their purposes, that would work fine on a truck fender or something, but for structural fiberglass, this is a troublesome situation we're seeing here. Just to show you that a little bit more here, we see a lot of heavy, apparently thick use of auto body filler that we're concerned is being used essentially to try to make a repair. And this is on a step. This is a telltale bad sign here. This is the typical repair done by an auto body repair shop. Their standard idea for fiberglass repair. It's a system generically referred to as cat hair because it looks like cat hair. It's basically super thin filaments of fiberglass, sort of like fiberglass insulation. They have very little, if any, strength to them at all, and it's impregnated with resin and sometimes auto body filler as well. The whole system does not create a lot of strength. In some places on a bucket, it probably doesn't make much difference, but in a lot of places, the lack of strength erodes the safety of the bucket. We don't even have any of this at our shop. Not to diminish what auto body repair shops do, but it's a completely different thing than what's supposed to be done on structural fiberglass, and in particular aerial equipment for utility companies. And we hope we've showed you a good bit of the what and why and why not of all that, and why it's very expensive to come back and fix what someone else who isn't properly trained and doesn't really know how to do this has done wrong. We have some companies that test each and every piece of equipment that we repair. They dielectrically test each piece we do, and we've never had a fail in 38 years, so we know what we're doing.